Hey everyone, my name is Jeremiah. I'm a 7th year MD PhD student.
My name is Tia Hoisington, and I'm going into my 4th year here at WSU.
The stuff that I was working on in my PhD was making antivirals for viruses with pandemic potential. In short, I'm basically trying to create these protein nanoparticles that can serve as like the FedEx of drug delivery. How do I get my drug from outside of the body to that target tissue of interest and nowhere else?
My research studies how the dad may influence the success of a pregnancy, whether that's influencing a miscarriage or a birth defect. I study a specific mark on DNA, and I look at how this may influence what genes may be turning on and off throughout embryo development. There's a huge gap in the field of how the father may play a role in the success of this pregnancy. And so that's ultimately what my work studies.
I grew up in Richmond, Virginia. It was me, my dad, and my sister. Our parents really emphasized the meaning of working hard. My grandmother, Mima, she saw that I was very academically focused, much earlier than I could recognize it in myself. And she told my parents that boy's gonna be a doctor. 20-something years later, here we are.
The earliest time that I can remember falling in love with science and where does life come from was from this book I used to read as a little girl. My mom mailed this to me halfway across the country. So I do have an identical twin sister. Her name is Mackenzie. Being one myself actually did foster my love for reproduction and embryos, because Kenz and I were one egg and one sperm, and now we're 2 whole people, which is awesome. My parents never went to college, and they encouraged my sister and I. We went to college fairs, we toured a bunch of schools. I do remember us having stacks of college catalogs and just going through them, and the one on the top was Lakeland, and I just applied, and that's where I ended up going.
I ranked a bunch of colleges, Dartmouth, Harvard, Yale, UVA, etc. I remember opening the letter, thinking I was gonna go to Dartmouth, and it said, "Congratulations, Jeremiah, you're going to Yale." And there I ended up working in the lab of Dr. Elsa Yan, working on some protein engineering for osteoporosis drugs.
Greg was my academic advisor throughout my undergraduate career. He also was my boss, because I was also a lab technician on campus. So I helped set up the labs, make the media, the cultures, and so we worked a lot side by side.
By the time I graduated, I decided to go to NIH and work with Dr. Sanjay Desai. One of the clinicians that I got the opportunity to round with was Dr. Tony Fauci, who is the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease at the time. And there I got to actually witness him training residents.
So when I moved to Michigan, it was the first time I had to experience what life was like without school and focusing on tests and studying and grad school applications. So I learned the skills I know now today, which are animal dissections, how to isolate sperm. I learned how to evaluate an embryo if it had proper development.
One of my roommates' brothers came down to visit. He said, "Hey, have you heard of this guy, David Baker? He works at the University of Washington." And I thought to myself, why, as a boy from Virginia who stayed on the East Coast his whole life, would I ever move to Seattle, Washington? That night I read 2 papers and I immediately sent in an application. I said, I have to work with this guy because I think that protein design could be the future for therapeutic development.
I still wanted to do reproductive medicine, and WSU has a lot of good repro research, and it was on my list. One of the things that WSU gave me was the ARCS fellowship, and that was a huge determining factor in deciding for WSU.
And it is so delightful to be in an environment with a ton of other really brilliant scientists who have big dreams and big ambitions. So David won the Nobel Prize for de novo design, making protein sequences that have never been seen in nature for a particular purpose. One of the most impressive things about Stockholm is just how into the Nobel festivities everybody is. The entire city is celebrating the achievements of this guy that I see every day. It's not really ideal time to be a scientist or a doctor. And yet a lot of us choose this path anyway because we truly believe in this process. So thank you to the ARCS community for supporting me throughout my PhD, for helping me to stay here an extra couple of hours to get the data that I needed to develop as a scientist, to fail and fail and fail and think, and then succeed.
Being an ARCS fellow is something I've truly loved throughout my time here at WSU, and something that I will forever be thankful I am part of and will continue to be part of after graduation here. Thank you for being a light. Thank you for being passionate about our research, for asking us questions about our research, and being curious just like we are.
Thank you for supporting and for continuing to support these up-and-coming scientists who are on the inflection point of technological innovation. This next generation is going to do incredible, great, inspiring, surprising things.